So as all of this plays out, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi talking just a short time ago about the possibility of launching impeachment proceedings. Here's what she said. Watch.
This is about our Constitution. We've talked about the separation of power, and that's a discussion that we have a responsibility to have because we take an oath to protect and defend the Constitution. But how it relates to people is about our elections, and central to our democracy are our elections.
All right, Elena Treen, Axios White House reporter, and Melanie Zanona, political congressional reporter, join me now. Elena, let me ask you first. First of all, Speaker Pelosi has said that the Attorney General of the United States of America was not telling the truth to the Congress of the United States and calls it a crime. What do you make of those statements?
Well, we've seen a lot of members of the Democratic Party say that they even think that they should go as far to hold Attorney General William Barr in contempt. I think the more mainstream position that we're seeing is a lot of senators and other Democrats calling on him to resign, which is, of course, a little bit more of a safe avenue to take because they don't really need to put their name on any sort of contempt or legal position in doing so. But yes, she accused a high member of the Attorney General of the Justice Department of committing a crime. And that's, of course, they thought that he had lied in a congressional testimony about whether Robert Mueller's team had thought there was any if there was any problem with the report that he put out, the 4-page summary of the Mueller report. And he kind of indicated that he didn't see any issues on the special counsel's team, any opinions of that sense. But, and then of course we saw this letter come out last week or earlier this week that showed perhaps Robert Mueller did take issue with that summary. And so a lot of eyes are going to be on what Attorney General William Barr does moving forward. And of course we see Chairman Nadler asking for the full report, unredacted, and so I think we'll see a lot more infighting moving forward.
Melanie, I want to ask you about William Barr's Congress comments last month. He told Congress that he thought spying did occur, and that was obviously what ignited this whole controversy. And I think from there on, the Democrats were furious no matter what he came out with in his letter. He said that the question is whether it was adequately predicated, and I'm not suggesting that it wasn't adequately predicated, but I need to explore that. Those are his words. What will Barr's exploring that entail, and who is going to hold those in contempt if indeed spying did occur on a campaign?
Well, there's a couple things that are going on. First of all, you have the Inspector General for the DOJ actually conducting an investigation as we speak, looking at the FBI's surveillance mechanisms, seeing whether they were improper and justified. They're looking at a couple things. They're looking at whether these use of confidential informants was justified, and they're also looking at the FBI's use of FISA warrants to surveil members of Trump's campaign. But aside from the DOJ, you also have Congress, and they can hold the DOJ accountable as well. Keep in mind, Republicans control the Senate, and Senate Judiciary Chairman Lindsey Graham has said he is also going to look into this. Obviously, this is something that the Republicans have said more and more. We need to investigate the investigators. They're trying to turn the tables. And I really think you will see this as a sort of counter-programming to the Dem investigation.
I want to move to a startling report. It's in the New York Times on the Russia investigation. According to the newspaper, the FBI sent an undercover agent to meet with former Trump campaign advisor George Papadopoulos, trying to find out whether the campaign was working with Moscow. Papadopoulos describes the alleged encounter. I want you to listen to this.
Barely spoke English. He was very flirty and was trying to do two things. One, to extract information about my professional connections in the Middle East, and two, to see if I had any information that she could potentially extract for me about Trump in Russia, which of course is nonsense. Now, of course, the New York Times reported that she was some sort of agent, but I don't think she was FBI. I think she was CIA.
Okay, so there you go. Papadopoulos, by the way, with this meeting, it was with a woman. It was at her request. She texted him saying, let's meet at a bar in London in 2016. The reason for that meeting was supposed to be that they were going to discuss foreign policy issues. And then out of nowhere, she came out and asks point blank, was the Trump campaign working with Russia? The woman was actually a government investigator posing as a research assistant. How is that not entrapment, Elena?
Well, I can't speak to the legal terms of that, but I will say that this adds more ammunition to what the president and Republicans have been saying for several months and even years now. They've been questioning why this Russia investigation started in the first place, and questioning the FBI's tactics for this and for investigating any sort of potential collusion between the Trump campaign and Russia. And to Melanie's point, I think this is, we should look at what's going to move forward from here as a new investigation. A lot of Republicans want an investigation into the beginnings and the origins of the Russia investigation, and I think this is going to be the latest thing they'll use to further that, and we shouldn't expect them to back down, especially with a Republican-controlled Senate and a Republican president.
All right. Elena Treen and Melanie Zanona, thank you very much. That's all the time we have today, but we do appreciate you both coming on.
Tonight, the case against the Obama administration's Department of Justice and FBI is growing. A new report tonight that Obama's FBI sent a spy to London in an attempt to gather dirt on the Trump campaign. The New York Times reports that a woman tried to infiltrate the campaign by trying to befriend George Papadopoulos. Now, if the New York Times is right, then here's what we now know. The Attorney General says spying did occur.
Yes, I think spying did occur.
Well, let me...
But the question is whether it was adequately predicated. And I'm not suggesting it wasn't adequately predicated, but I'd need to explore that.
Indeed. We know that the FISA warrant was obtained by the FBI through the use of opposition research, bought and paid for by the Hillary campaign, and never verified by the FBI General Counsel at the time, James Baker. Can you imagine not verifying all of that material? He didn't care. He didn't do it. Meanwhile, Trump 2016 campaign advisor Michael Caputo tells us the FBI sent a spy to effectively entrap him. Watch this.
I know that I myself was approached by a Russian national FBI informant in late May of 2016.
And what did that Russian national FBI informant want?
He wanted to give me some dirt on Hillary Clinton. I turned it down.
How do you know he was an FBI informant?
Didn't know until I sat down with the Mueller investigation, and when they asked me about him and I told them what I knew, by their faces I knew that it was someone that had been sent to me.
And now you add in this whole new layer. This new layer that the New York Times says it can confirm. An FBI informant, Obama's FBI department, was sent to London to spy on the campaign. And what we're left with tonight is a very, very troubling picture of an Obama administration that may have weaponized its intelligence divisions all in an effort to spy on innocent Americans, and a man who was about to become the next president of the United States. Unacceptable. Joining me right now to react to all of it, we have Strategic Communications Director for the Trump 2020 campaign, Mark Lauder. Mark, I mean, this is, it's very troubling. And I think that Attorney General Barr points out, look, we need to get to the bottom of it, right? Because we need to understand what the motives were and whether they were pure or whether they were just political. Because my goodness, sir, if they were political, then I think some heads will need to roll.
There needs to be accountability. You're absolutely right. And this is clear. The Trump campaign was spied on by the FBI, and it was directed at the highest levels of the Department of Justice. To what end? They were spying on political opponents. And it's something we cannot allow. We do not weaponize our police powers of the United States government to turn it on political disagreements or political opponents. We saw the FBI do this back in the 1960s and before with J. Edgar Hoover. They kept lists of un-American people, and Congress put a stop to it. Right now you have Congress, at least the Democrats, cheerleading it and trying to cover for it. And that's why they're running scared right now, because they know this entire scheme and the Obama administration's misadministration of justice is about to be exposed.
And that's why you have the likes of Kamala Harris and some others now calling for the resignation of Attorney General Barr. Is it because they want him to resign before the tables turn and America learns what really went down in 2016?
You're absolutely right. You see Adam Schiff saying it too, and it's actually a joke. I mean, it's comical that somebody like Adam Schiff, who lied to the American people for 2 years about the President of the United States being a Russian agent or knowing of Russian evidence about collusion, proven false, would have the temerity to say anyone was a liar. He's a liar, and he's trying to cover up and stall this investigation from exposing what they were doing behind the scenes to block President Trump.
And what do you think was really going on? I mean, look, with all due respect, sir, you have a political motive too because you're working on the 2020 campaign. But if you can just put that aside for a moment, I mean, I try and just think about this stuff as an American citizen who values my privacy and values my rights. And the idea that any of this could have gone down, I think, is just extraordinarily troubling. And it's an issue that every American, regardless of what party they're in, should care about. Do we need another special prosecutor to investigate what actually happened there?
I'm not sure we need to go with another special counsel. You have the Attorney General, you have the Inspector General, and you also have the Senate Judiciary Committee promising to look into this. But here's the thing, to your point, Trish, Congress has already done this before. When what J. Edgar Hoover and the FBI did back in the 60s and beyond was exposed, Congress in a bipartisan fashion came together to put a stop to it in the 70s. They worked together to protect the freedoms and the rights of American citizens, and it looks like right now that all of that went out the window again under Obama in 2016.
Wow. Look, I said we were broken or becoming broken. It's quite clear that if they can't protect us from that kind of deep state, horrific nonsense, then we really don't have a Congress that's of any meaning at all.